Jonica Newby, of course, is a science writer and broadcaster and a founding member of Catalyst on ABC TV. She was also the presenter of the ABC TV series The Animal Attraction, which was all about the domestication of pets, and she's written a book of the same name. She has twice, not once, but twice won the very prestigious Australian Museum Eureka Prize for Science Journalism. Please welcome Jonica.
Well, given all that, it may surprise you to hear that when I was a child, I wouldn't have said I had a particular aptitude for science. To me, it was simply part of being educated. You did humanities, you did sciences. It never occurred to me not to include science, because how else do you find out about shit? And everyone I meet has an interest in science. What to eat, how to exercise, the best ways to deal with cancer, why people think the way they do. These are all questions best engaged with through science, not because scientists know best. It's simply because, as you all know, science is a method, not a tablet set in stone. It's a way of gathering and testing ideas and evidence to find the truth. And yet, there are still people, some of them in power, who believe science and scientists are somehow separate from society. Do they find truth inconvenient? Well, and in a post-fact world, well, there's another word for post-facts, isn't there? It's lies. So why don't we all, and those people in particular, try this little thought experiment. Try getting up in the morning and noticing every time you have to thank a scientist. Okay, so for me, it starts with my alarm. I would reach over to my smartphone and turn it off. Thank you, smartphone, for being clever enough to go to the right time zone no matter where I am. Thank you to all the satellites and the rocket scientists who develop them so they can bounce that useful information into my phone. I swing over to get up out of bed. Oh, cool, my legs actually work. Thank you, scientists who turned me into a cyborg by inventing the titanium artificial disc I have inserted in my spine to solve crippling back pain. I get dressed. I get dressed. Thank you to all the people who invented those really nice stretchy fibres so I don't ever have to iron my clothes. Thank you to toothpaste inventors. I get to keep my teeth, hopefully, into old age. I turn on the radio and listen to the news. Thank you, Marconi, for your radio wave discoveries. And to all those scientists who allowed those words being spoken in a studio somewhere to be beamed to me. Or it's coming through my smartphone in my own time, that news. Thank you to the team at CSIRO who used their knowledge of scanning the stars to invent Wi-Fi. And you know it, but let's reflect on that. It took years for a team of star scientists to invent Wi-Fi while they had ongoing research support. Now, bloody hell, how many scientists have I had to thank? And I've only been awake 10 minutes. The point is obvious. There is not a part of our lives that does not depend on the ongoing work of science and scientists. The pace of change is extraordinary. If we don't have some understanding of it, it can overwhelm us. So how then has the war on science advanced so far? How do we get to a world where if you say an untruth often enough and loud enough, e.g. climate change is a hoax, people will believe you, even to the point of denying what they can see with their own eyes? Is gravity a hoax? Is DNA a hoax? Is Trump, damn it, a hoax? And I am going to talk briefly about climate change because it has been attempts to suppress discussion of this existential threat that triggered the March for Science movement worldwide. Now, I could point to extreme weather, I could point to the increasing frequency of floods, I could point to the fact that our coral reefs are already showing signs they're going to be gone in 50 years. But I can give you a really simple example of how our world is changing. I can see it with my own eyes. I'm a skier, and I'm watching firsthand the snow disappearing. A little story, I was in Japan for the first time earlier this year skiing, a little treat to myself after Catalyst got slightly rearranged, shall we say. And it was my first time there. I was expecting to see lots of Australians. Yes, they were all there. They shared their Vegemite around. And what surprised me, though, was all these Europeans turning up. There were Swiss people and Finns and Germans and Norwegians. And I even skied with a couple of Austrian ski instructors on holiday. What were Austrian ski instructors doing taking a holiday in Japan in the middle of the ski season in Europe? The answer was simple. They were coming to look for snow. Now, losing a ski slope might seem like a first world problem, but what about all the major rivers that supply billions of people with food from agriculture those rivers rely on snow melt? We all know if we're going to have any chance of riding the coming waves of change, it will be science and technology that will give us solutions. Science and technology that will help our economy surf the change, surf the transitions, rather than drown. But science and technology require public support and political will, genuine and sustained support for education and discovery and seeking truth, not just lip service. But won't the private sector do science? Well, the truth is the private sector isn't set up for the kind of science that brings game-changing scientific breakthroughs like Wi-Fi. The private sector is set up to take full advantage of those breakthroughs. It's a symbiotic relationship. For example, here is a smartphone, synonymous with Steve Jobs and private enterprise. This smartphone was a bringing together of 7 different technologies, none of which were invented by business, all of which were developed by public-funded organisations and universities. Science is truth. Science is wealth. Science is adventure. So if you see that your lifestyle and health depend on the continued fruits of modern science, and if you are concerned that the voices of anti-science are winning, then speak up for science and keep doing so until the wreckers stop wrecking.